So there then, we're going to be discussing basically how to make your own deionized water or something similar at home using a water recovery system. Let's get right into it, let's not waste any time. Today should be a nice short sharp video showing you what you can do if you have a similar setup at home to recycle and reuse some really nice recoverable clean water for your products. What I'm going to be showing today then is an example of basically 3 different uses for water or collection systems, or whatever you might use it for, and that is tap water at home, which is general drinking water, what a lot of people then use for gardening, pressure washing and all other tasks around the house. We're going to be using an example of recovered rainwater, something like you would do in a water butt or water recovery system that you might use for your drainage. And then we're going to look at recovered water, which in my case is the dehumidifier in the garage. For that, I'm using a really small sort of office-based dehumidifier, really quiet, really power efficient, and something you can just leave, set and forget, look at it every few days, test it, and then empty it out and save that water if that's what you're looking to do. So I'm using this mainly for product formulation. The volumes or quantities of water that I'm getting in this scenario isn't enough to use as part of my full sort of DI water system for washing the car at home. I could certainly add to that and contribute to that using this water recovery system, but I also use deionized water for making my own products and formulations and watering down things like APCs or all-purpose cleaners. Sometimes I might use it in my foam cannon if I'm doing a full deionized water wash. I might get that from here instead of the storage system that I use. So there's various different cases and uses. What most people wouldn't expect is the water you'd collect from these systems at home, and you recycle and recover in this water from your dehumidifier in this case. It's very clean, very good quality water. In my case, I'm collecting a small amount. I know, say, in my a member of my family, they actually run quite a large dehumidifier unit in their house. They've had issues with damp over the years. So to get around that and try and actively prevent that and get in front of it, they use a dehumidifier full time at home. Now they are collecting significant amounts of clean, good quality, basically what could be considered spot-free water when you look at the quality of it and you look at the parts per million on the TDS meter. Something we'll go into in my case. I'll show you an example of my dehumidifier and what you can sort of expect from doing that and recovering that water. I might be collecting, a litre a week, something like that, with my little one, and I've got a nice dry garage that's sometimes heated depending on how cold it is. I've had a new door this year, the ceiling's a lot better, so I generally from that have less water ingress and a general less dampening of the garage space. What we've got here then is 3 glasses of water. The one on the far left has the recovered water from the dehumidifier system that's in the garage. One in the middle is rainwater, similar to that will be collected from a rainwater butt if you had one and chose to run your pressure washer off that or use that for any products you might be making, formulating, any gardening or anything like that. And then on the right hand side, what we've got here is ordinary tap water. So we've now taken the cling film off these, what we were just using to stop any contaminants or anything floating in there that are in the air floating around in the garage. So what we're going to do now is test using this TDS meter. This is just a cheap TDS meter off Amazon. It's got a little scale on the back, shows you what would be classed as good or low quality water in your area. People use these for if they're drinking from fountains and things like that, or any freshwater springs to test the content in there. So this is the 2025 version that they're selling on Amazon, and I'll link to this as part of the description down below. It's really easy to use. Press on once, make sure you've got all the zeros and it's calibrated on the system. Then what we're going to do is test each one individually. So, as previously discussed, on the right here is normal tap water. So I don't know if you can see that there. We're getting 282 parts per million on the TDS, which is not terribly good. Where I am in Yorkshire, in the UK, we can get down to sort of 170, 200 in my tap at home. But this is more of an average representation of what you'd be getting normally. This in the centre then is rainwater collected from outside, what you'd be similar to what you'd collect in your water butt. So this is reading 91, that's stabilised at. So although it's got a murky appearance and looks dirtier, when you're talking about parts per million of total dissolved solids, it's actually better for product use, not something you might want to drink. But that's the one there. Finally then, on the left here, we've got the recovered water from the dehumidifier system in the garage. Let's see what this one is. So you can see there that is settled out at 5. So that's actually the highest I've seen. Anything between 2 and 4 usually is good for this system. This is actually set out for a little bit. I've put it into a glass, which may or may not added to the total contamination and things like that. So usually you're talking 2 to 4 parts per million. In this case, even stored in a glass with a bit of film on, it's still sat at 5. This has actually been sat overnight since yesterday when I collected all 3 samples. So this is still a good representation. So I tested these yesterday and they were all reading exactly the same. So filming them overnight and I'm letting sit, I haven't had any contributing factors towards adding contamination or anything. So that's where we are, and you can see back to 0. So in doing that then, what we've identified is that the recovered water that you get from your dehumidifier system, whether you're using a garage based one or one in your house, actually recovers very clean water, especially when you're looking at using it for products or formulations at home. If that's what you're looking to do, make your own sprays or foams up or anything, if you're using this water, and it's a good way of recovering and recycling water and not just throwing it away. It's really good clean water compared to what you would normally use around the house, which is like this rainwater example or the tap water, which most people would use. So you're thinking you're getting nice clean water, drinking water out of your tap, and then when you're looking at this situation, formulating products, you would actually be better in this scenario using the recovered water from the dehumidifier. So in my case, what I'm using is this little unit off here, off Amazon. I'll link to this in the description below. This is where I bought it from, and perfect for smaller environments, one room, a garage, an office, something like that. Very quiet. There's a very slight hum if you not have any background noise or anything. Music on like I do sometimes in the garage. This is what the unit looks like. You've got a basic power on button and then basically a light that goes around that tells you when to empty it. You've just got your power inlet there. You've got the air intake and exhaust. And then what you've got here is your little water storage unit that just pulls out nicely. So once you've got this then, the recovered water just drops in. When you take that out, the magnetic switch goes just to stop the system when it's plugged in. And you get nice, clean water from here. What I'll do then is I'll test using the little TDS meter we've got here. So we'll turn that on. Just pop that lid off like so. Make sure that's all zeroed, which it is. Get a nice reading here. Again, we're looking at the same as the glass that we've tested previously. We're at 5 parts per million. Hopefully you can see that. If not, take my word for it, we're at 5. So that again is nice, good quality water. Generally when you're looking at spot-free car washing, things like that, anything that you can get below single digits, so if you're 10 and below, then you generally class it as good deionized water at that. You should have no issues with water spotting or anything, or mineral deposits being left behind when you use this system. So yeah, it's really good. Obviously the main purpose of this is to pull the moisture and the humidity out of the garage, make sure I don't have any unnecessary or unwanted moisture sat around lingering on especially steel surfaces that I have in here that are subject to oxidation and would rust quite easily. So we don't want that. So anything like this primary reason, only after buying it and subsequently being curious and thinking, oh, I'll just give it a quick test with the meter, I found out it was such good quality water, it'd be a shame to just throw it out like I was doing the first few times I used it. So yeah, we're now recovering this water full time, storing it locally. That's a real quick, easy demonstration then about recovering waters at home, whether you're doing that through rainwater, dehumidifiers like I am in my case, and just looking at those different qualities and whether you can actually recover and reuse those purposefully. That's it. Nice little short, sharp video today then. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you've got any comments or anything different that you might do if you're recovering water at home, whether it's rainwater or recovered water from a dehumidifier or some sort of other system you're using around the house, in the garage, be sure to let me know. I'm always looking at different options to recover and reuse water, especially really good quality stuff. that can be used in product formulations and mixes. Yeah, so let us know. If you've liked the video, make sure to drop it a like. If you're new, subscribe for more things to come. This is going to be part of a sort of deionized water mini-series coming over the next few weeks, and looking into hosepipe bans and restrictions around waters and what you can do in them situations. My particular deionized water system for what could be used up to a full jet wash process. So stay tuned for that. YouTube will now recommend what thinks best for you right here, depending on what you usually watch. And I'll see you next time.